All right, you guys, welcome in. Welcome to Friday. Hello, hello. Let's see what Spirit has to say for us this morning. I just saw the Truth card and the Jealousy card. There could be a lot of revelations coming out. We do have this eclipse happening this weekend in the sign of Virgo. And the shadow side of Virgo is super judgy, but the exalted side of Virgo, right? We're at 29 degrees here. So this is like the final piece of some kind of shift in your life. It can be a reset. I feel like some of you are getting rid of a lot of rigid patterns, a lot of rigid ways of thinking, and much more interested in going toward your spirituality, which is definitely why this channel exists. So let's see what's going on. Get right into it. Earth. Meditate. Constantly talking about that. Trust. And water. Okay. So we are having a fair amount of water in the astrology coming in for the end of this year. I talked about that yesterday in my astrology group, and I will be talking about it as we get into the astrology course, and also a 3-night live. We'll be talking 3 consecutive weeks about what's happening in 2026. I will use 2025 as a jumping off point, of course, just to get us kind of set in what's happening. But really what I'm seeing happening right now is that we're being asked to let go of any kind of rigid ways of thinking, decluttering our lives. That's a very Virgo energetic expression. But really consider this, we have a lot of the outer planets really active right now. We have a lot of planets, especially Mercury this week, activating Uranus and Pluto, those outer planets. So think about it this way. The inner planets like Venus and Mercury and Mars, the luminaries, Sun and Moon, when these come in contact with the outer planets, and the major movements of these outer planets right now, we're basically deciding personally, how to behave in this new structure. Okay. The Uranus and Pluto energetic, they're trining each other in air signs. So there is a lot of technology development and also major changes happening. There's a lot of communication required. Uranus and Gemini can be surprising communication. We've had a fair amount of that. So there's things moving on the global level, but then you're still asked to how are you processing it, or how are you working with that? And I will say, I think more than even those inner planets that I mentioned, I will talk a little bit about Venus later on, but and Mercury, but the inner planets I'm kind of looking at are really Saturn, right? Saturn and Jupiter, the ones that are sort of bridging from the real internal personal planets to the external Uranus, Pluto, Neptune planets. And Saturn at 29 degrees of Pisces right now is really asking us to, what's the new direction forward in a spiritual way? What is your new way of looking at things? How will you navigate? And I feel because we have the South Node in Virgo, and we have this eclipse in Virgo, I feel like we're being asked to get rid of anything that's too rigid in our lives. Anything that it's almost like you can't really keep it up. It feels overwhelming. It doesn't feel good. And we're being asked to really trust and feel our feelings. Your body speaks the language of feelings. All right, that's your real intuition. And keeping yourself grounded. I do like that there's Virgo involved, because there is a way of anchoring things, but it isn't in order to make things more rigid. It's about, the shadow side of Virgo is the judgy and the perfectionism and things like that. So we're really being asked to purge that and go toward a spiritual mission, becoming spiritual warriors. I talked about that with Pathfinders. There was definitely someone who was aligned with that. We talked about that phrase, spiritual warriors, coming through, and I I concur. But like, what's the mission for you? I think that's the next question you might want to ask. What's the mission here? So 6 of Swords, I see that. The 6 of Wands, the Queen of Wands, the 6 of Pentacles, and the 5 of Swords. So this card here, the final card I pull from underneath is the one that is sort of like, this is what will help you most right now, which is boundaries. And I've been seeing that a lot. I feel like there are a lot of people who are using information for their own gain. All right, using the flooding of information, so much changing, so much happening to manipulate people, to get people to think things are a certain way when they're not. Okay, and it causes a lot of drama, this Queen of Wands. It feels like a lot of the spiritual community is sort of mobilizing here in order to take that on. Because when we have Neptune's coming back into Pisces, Saturn is in Pisces. And so that those late stages of Pisces, a late stage of the final sign of the final, degrees of the zodiac, that late stage spiritual warriorship is taking shape. Okay, what is that going to look like? And as we move into next year, when those planets move into Aries, when they are like launching the new thing, this time period, this end of 2025 and beginning of 2026 is really a reorganization of letting go of things of the past and aligning with spiritual direction, purpose, mission. Okay. And I feel like 2025, so I feel like the spiritual mission is being revealed, but it's actually, there's something about discernment here. And I feel like that goes to Venus, where Venus is sliding into Virgo, and it's going to be asking us about being more discerning. Okay. About how we're spending our time, right? If you get rid of rigid routines, can you step into some kind of service? Virgo is service for sure. And I see that here with the 6 of Pentacles, especially because there are a lot of people who are very confused. It's very easy to get confused these days about what's going on and how to think about things. And, that's the thing that I feel is going to characterize the end of 2025, where we have this year of kind of chaotic, energetic expression. And like, how are you aligning with service now? How are you going to do that? And 29 degrees of Virgo is squaring that Saturn, right? The Saturn in Pisces as a mutable sign, or sorry, opposite, not square, opposite each other. So there's definitely something here about a Saturnian return to rigidity. Saturn is really about structures, but it's in Pisces. So spirituality is dissolving these old structures, and we're being asked to present sort of to the universe, like, this is my plan for spiritually aligning with service. This is my plan to put it out there. And each one of us has a different role to play, not like a monolith, but more like particles, millions of particles that like kind of form a wave, right? That's going to be important. And I feel like there's a sense of, I like the Virgo energy. There's Earth card here because it is about anchoring ourselves, keeping our feet on the ground while working with these very big paradigm shifts that are happening. Ace of Pentacles, new opportunities coming across your path. 8 of Swords, keep your eyes open for them, please. The 4 of Wands. There's new community, new communities, new opportunities. And the more conscious you are, the less astrology drives you, and the more you use the energies of astrology. That's what I'm teaching in my astrology course that starts later this year. How to use the energies, how to embrace them, how to make them work for you. If you want to call that manipulative, fine. I'm good with that. Like, how can I take what's going on and use it to the advantage, not just of me, but like not really of me at all, because we're talking about purpose, mission and purpose. And how can I surf these energies in order to, I don't know, bring order to chaos seems premature. It's more like getting better at getting better at seeing through manipulation, getting better at being an enlightened soul in, a time of the year in the Northern Hemisphere where more darkness comes in, getting better at this, getting better at being able to parse through the nonsense and be able to really ground in your intuition so you can really see. We spent all of 2024 in Pathfinders talking about grounding in your intuition. So when things start moving around the room, when things start getting a little crazy, you'll be able to be like, okay, that's real. That's not real. That's nonsense. That's manipulation. That's truth. That's what this year is all about, is trying to get you used to, especially this summer, get you used to a new way of being in the world. And I love that Venus, I talked in my Pathfinder group about Venus being debilitated or weaker in Virgo, but it really is just a shift into using resources as service, being of service in some way. And that's not weak. It's just that we're not so focused. Venus is very much, can be about resources and things like that. So it may not be about retrieving new resources, and as much as it is about how can I use the resources I have to help other people, and mission and purpose, right? We're talking about that in my class next week, the workshop about North Node mastery. How does my mission and purpose change over the course of my life? How can I use my energy, my gifts, my talents to be on the path of service? Be on the path of mission. Knight of Cups coming up, the Justice card, Page of Cups, Seven of Cups, Six of Cups, Death. So there's Libra and here's Scorpio, right? Mars is moving into Scorpio later this month. And I'm really seeing here that there is an opportunity to balance what's going on. I feel like it's like you're going to kind of see that you're getting used to being able to discern things for yourself, being more discerning, being more awake and aware to like, oh, that's a lie, that's truth, instead of just kind of being like, oh, fire hose, right? It's not going to be that way anymore, because the spiritual community is really about being able to see now. There's offers coming in, could be offers coming in from the past, okay? Because at 29 degrees of Virgo, there's a sense of like tying up loose ends. So there could be an apology and an offer coming in from the past, because of the Six of Cups. And there's like a real sense of now it's not just about like, okay, how am I navigating the world? But I'm getting an offer here. I'm getting someone coming toward me, a new beginning. And now how do I navigate that? And this is going to bring a lot of change. Tremendous amounts of change. Mars in Libra. Then when Mars moves into Scorpio, I think it's the 22nd. So right after we have this eclipse in Virgo, we've got Mars moving into Scorpio. Now, typically Mars does not like being in a water sign because it's like hard to get your footing, but Mars is the traditional ruler of Scorpio, so it is comfortable with Scorpio. And mostly because Scorpio is all about trust. And Mars says, I'm going to take action on things I trust. So this is kind of like a trust lesson, a trust fall, a trust lesson coming in. A trust lesson coming in. King of Swords, Four of Swords, Three of Pentacles, and the Four of Pentacles. So there's somebody coming in here who proclaims to be healed, or apologies, things like that. Let's work together. Let's be together. Four of Pentacles, the World, Three of Swords. So if I hadn't gone forward in time, what I'm suggesting that you do is hold, and stay in this energy of like, I'm unclear, and it's not going to come from your mind, right? It's not going to come from thinking. The Uranus and Pluto in air signs is going to, want precise communication and want advancement, want transformation and all of that. But the personal is going to say, there's no shame in saying, I don't know. I don't know yet. I don't know. So I feel like this person might come back and kind of demand forgiveness. Really? Demanding forgiveness. King of Swords is not the most touchy-feely. Talk to me more about this King of Swords. King of Pentacles. Page of Wands. Ten of Wands. Seven of Pentacles. This person is used to kind of running the show. This person is a little controlling. They're kind of used to running the show. And the Piscean Virgo paradigm of, I mean, it really is about spiritual service in the world, spiritual warriorship, spiritual service in the world. I feel like this person is working off an old paradigm, that they're always in control, or they always have control, and this is out of control for them. So there's a sense of like, you kind of being like, well, I don't really know. I don't know anything more about this. The Star card, that's Aquarian, the Moon energy, Eight of Wands, and the Fool. So this time period where we have this new moon, I want to say to you that, like, I'm totally not paying attention to what happens. That new moon in Virgo eclipse is so loud that I'm not paying any attention. There's a full moon in Aries, 14 degrees of Aries on the 6th of October. So that's coming up, within a couple, after, 2 weeks later, every new moon, full moon, 2 weeks. So Aries, Aries full moon can really shine the light on, who am I becoming, or who am I now being? This month is a time for kind of parsing that, how, my new identity, because there is going to be a new identity born for you coming up in the beginning of next year. A lot of the spiritual community is being birthed into this new energy. And right now it's kind of chaotic because it's sort of like throwing up all the old paradigms and, kind of ripping out, decluttering, if you will. Decluttering the ways or the things that are going to stick with us in the future. So we've got two things going on here. We've got this path, new opportunities, new identity being created, because a new identity is being created right now, or you are creating a new identity, and you're definitely purging old identities, old ego patterns that have held you back. Now there's some new opportunities, and you'd be forgiven if kind of right now you're like, oh, I don't know. So let's go deeper into this reading. I'm going to look at what you don't see coming. Let's see about there's any blocks that you might be able to work with, and we'll get some guidance from Spirit about how this plays out. All right. Link is below if you want to continue on with me. I'll see you over there. All right, I hope you enjoyed that video. If it was helpful to you, please consider liking this video and sharing it with anybody who might have a need for similar kind of information. And if you like this video, check out these videos.